was the issue around the quote-unquote woke policies and DEI policies. Right. That specific is what I'm addressing. So we don't have to guess. I'm telling you what it was. The idea that there's some relationship between the fires and the department's investment in DEI policies. Even Amala herself has said, we're going to find out if that's the case. But why are we beginning from a premise that that is the case? Is anything possible? Sure, but there's no evidence of it. Also, the idea of
did you hear that E word? Hey, evidence. Why are we starting from a place if we don't have no evidence? Maybe you shouldn't start from that premise then. Whatever your name is, honestly, I don't even care at this point. It doesn't even matter. You're just another Republican idiot that is just talking just to talk, and it's annoying. It is extremely annoying. Like Big Sean, ho, shut the up. That's what I want to. Hey, I done already said it. Like, please just shut up. You are contributing nothing. So guys, I need everyone to do a lot better. Okay, I need people to understand, okay, that definition of words means something. And if a definition of a word doesn't fit a particular situation, then maybe, hey, call me crazy, but maybe that's not the word or the correct word to use for that situation. So for DEI, if you don't understand what DEI is supposed to do or what it means or what it's supposed to solve, then anything and everything that you don't like doesn't mean it's DEI. That's not how the English language works. Can we at least do better in that? I spoke into one idiot in my comment section and I felt like a middle school teacher having to explain what words mean. And if it's not the correct word, then don't use it for that situation. So I'm going to do what I do best, is read definitions to people who are too intellectually lazy to figure this out and comprehend. But I guarantee you, I bet you, is going to be the one idiot who is still not going to comprehend what DEI means compared to the situation that we're going to be talking about. It's just how the world works. But DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, which the D and the E is usually what we have to struggle with. Diversity is the presence of differences within a given setting, such as race, ethnicity, gender, age, sexual orientation, disability, and other individual characteristics. It focuses on ensuring that a wide variety of perspectives and experiences are represented. No, nothing more, nothing less. Equity. The process of ensuring fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all individuals while striving to eliminate barriers that have presented the full participation of some groups. Is there any argument there? Equity addresses systematic inequalities of works towards providing everyone with the resources they need to succeed. Once again, if you are functioning in reality, it has some bearing of understanding of history, of American history, then you could be like, you know what? I see where this is going. I may not fully agree. I get that, but I see what it's trying to accomplish. Are you with me? Are you still with me? Okay. In the workplace, in 1963, women earned only 59 cents for every dollar earned by men, highlighting significant gender pay gaps that persist today. Once again, do you understand? DEI initiatives work to ensure equal pay and opportunities for individuals of all gender. Once again, there's a problem. There was a historic problem that is trying to be solved today. Do you get that? All right. When it comes to education, the landmark case Brown versus Board of Education 1954 declared racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional, yet access to quality education remains unequal. If there's a problem, a historic problem that disproportionately hurts a group of people, maybe we can all group together as American citizens to try to solve that situation. DEI efforts promote unbiased access to education regardless of social economic status or background. When it comes to employment, before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it was legal. It was legal. Legal, legal. Do you know what legal means? Legal for the U.S. to discriminate in hiring, promotions, and other workplace practices based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origins. Hey, can I get an amen? This was legal. That affected disproportionately black and brown people. DEI programs aim to create exclusive workplace that prevents discrimination and foster a sense of belonging. Hey guys, when we get into this conversation, it's going to be a hard one. I know it is. I watched this twice and I literally, no joke, was having panic attacks. I was so furious of the disingenuousness of some of these individuals. You could probably just look at them and just see the smug dumb assness on their face. And yes, it's that bad. It gets that bad. Let's take a listen.
No, I think the commercial misses the mark for several reasons. And it doesn't get to the heart of why you would want a DEI effort at the fire department. At the end of the day, the most important thing, as is the case whenever you have any kind of intervention like this, is that qualified people are there and that everyone has a fair shake at a high quality job, that no one is underqualified or unqualified for the job. In terms of the fire, which is your first question, I don't think that DEI has anything to do with these fires. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and a lot of it has to do with Democrats, Democratic mayor, Democratic governor, Democratic councils. I mean, there's a lot of criticism to go around. There's a lot of targets here, but DEI to me isn't the issue here. I'm more concerned with how the police were overfunded and fire departments were underfunded. I'm interested in climate change and having that conversation. We have to have a conversation about the kind of homes we have and the kind of homes we build these days. There are lots of things to talk about, but I don't think DEI is the blame here.
Okay, Gillian, you lost a home in a previous fire in LA in 2018. You've had to evacuate your own mother in these fires. I've got to say, my place is in Beverly Hills, which thankfully has not been hit yet, although the next 48 hours will be pretty
crucial. So I wanted to highlight his answer to that, because once again, he's talking sane. He's not yelling, because trust me, he gets there. Okay, this is happy Mark Lamont Hill right here. As we progress, which I'm not going to bore you guys with this hour and 26 minutes, but let's go to the next point, and this is where it gets a little rough. What is this, 13:30? And just brace yourself, okay?
It's a perfect hellish storm. So let me preface this by saying, it may be nothing could have stopped this from doing what it did. However, I think you have a view, contrary to what Mark said, that DEI and wokeness have played a part in the failures here. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we're going to learn in the days to come about these fires. As Gillian and I believe Mark mentioned, we're still waiting to see the cause of a lot of these fires. It's totally understandable to me that this is what happens in LA, that we can pretty much imagine that this is going to occur to some extent. But we can also see a department that has, in my opinion, wasted time and resources on these woke agenda pieces like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Where could that time and where could those resources have gone? What could they have been allocated to when it comes to responding response to these fires. Not only that, I'm seeing reports on social media, I don't know about anybody else, of arsonists, looters, and this is sort of a culture that we've created here in Los Angeles, here in California, with the way that we've been soft on crime, with the different policies that we've pushed forward. So honestly, I think we're at this moment of just waiting for information. But as Jillian said, you can also see that reservoir that held what should have been 117 million gallons of water was not working. The brush cleanup that should have been happening for decades was not happening. You have Rick Caruso here in Los Angeles, who was running for leadership. He managed to save his land, his properties, and he did so through proper planning and being proactive. So what could we have done in this city? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
So just to nip it in the butt, I'm trying not to just interrupt as much, but when it's so much BS, it's hard not to, okay? And plus, this is my show, so hey, guess what? I get to do and hit the pause button when I want, okay? First off, looting and arsoning, like that happens everywhere, especially when it's crazy events like this. It's not just and that's a little dog whistle there, but we're not going to get into that. That's not just a culture in democratic cities. Why are we saying these dumb things? And it's already been proven, no matter if all the reservoirs would have been filled, it still would not have stopped or been enough to stop a fire tornado, okay? Like, if you see the amounts of fires and how it was spreading due to the high winds, it doesn't matter how much raking you would have done or how much water you would have had in your reservoirs. It wasn't enough, and this was already proven. But I guess proving things doesn't mean nothing when you're on national TV or social media.
I mean, Mark Lamont Hill, you know, I saw you shaking your head there, but I'm not quite sure what you're shaking your head about. Because anyone who's lived in LA, like I said, it's been clear. Two things have been clear. Newsom has had a lot of rhetoric about being tough on crime and sorting out the homeless problem and so on. And the complete reverse has happened. You know, even in Beverly Hills, where I live, and I go to lots of other parts of the city when I'm in LA, but even in Beverly Hills, the degree of homelessness, the degree of crime, violent crime involving guns, right in the middle of Beverly Hills at lunchtime, shootouts in restaurants and things, that never used to happen, I can tell you. It was never like it is now. So there's no doubt to my mind that when Amala says what she said there about issues like the crime increasing and so on, it's indisputable. If you live there, you know it.
Right. I mean, if one were not watching this video and only hearing it, they would think that I shook my head when we were talking about crime and homelessness. I didn't.
Well, you seem to.
When I shook my head.
I'm sorry.
What I shook my head to was the issue around the quote unquote woke policies and DEI policies. Right. That specific is what I'm addressing. So we don't have to guess. I'm telling you what it was. The idea that there's some relationship between the fires and the department's investment in DEI policies. Even Amala herself has said, you know, we're going to find out if that's the case. But why are we beginning from a premise that that is the case? Is anything possible? Sure, but there's no evidence of it. Also, the idea of
did you hear that E word? Hey, evidence. Why are we starting from a place if we don't have no evidence? Maybe you shouldn't start from that premise then, whatever your name is. Honestly, I don't even care at this point. It doesn't even matter. You're just another Republican idiot that is just talking just to talk, and it's annoying. It is extremely annoying. Like Big Sean, ho, shut the up. That's what I want to. Hey, I done already said it. Like, please just shut up. You are contributing nothing to the conversation except for dumb assness. And it's frustrating when people operate in a conversation with no evidence, no data, nothing. Just pure feelings and vibes. I'm sorry, this is my fourth video today, and I'm already worked out. I'm already at a 9.5, okay? So I'm sorry if I'm already amped up, but this is just ridiculous, hearing the same BS day after day, and it doesn't get any better.
calling it a wasted effort to me is a bit bizarre. As I'm sure you know, or maybe you don't, I'm talking to the audience, not you two in particular, the department had a significant problem with sexual harassment. The department had a significant problem with racial discrimination. It's acknowledged that. The department had multiple firefighters sue. The department acknowledged that they were overrepresented by white men and underrepresented by other groups. And to be clear, that's a statistical analysis. That's not a subjective assessment. It's not a moral judgment. I'm saying they're overrepresented demographically. So in light of that, my question would be, if you don't think they needed an inclusion or equity initiative, how should they have responded? This is to Amala. How should they have responded to the proven cases of discrimination, sexism, and harassment that were happening in the department? What should they have done instead of having an initiative?
Okay.
Now, once again, that was a beautiful set up question. I love how he just kept it real simple and said, hey, if you don't like the whole DEI thing, okay, got you, whatever. How do you go about fixing the problem that has been proven? There's court documentation, there's statistics, all of it. It's there. The proof is there. The problem is there. This is not a made up problem. How do you go about solving this issue if you don't want the DEI situation or the DEI setup at this particular place? And I warn you, she is not going to answer the question. Okay, so don't brace yourself. Don't think that she's gonna have to be forced to give a logical solution to a problem that plagues everywhere in America. Okay, that's the problem. A lot of these Republicans don't like DEI, don't like Obamacare, but when it comes to, hey, okay, you don't like it, what do you have in plan? What do you have to replace it or to solve this systematic problem? Oh, we got concepts of a plan. That would have been better answered than what she's going to give now.
Fair enough. Amala?
Yeah. Sure, I can answer that. Yeah, when we're looking at those cases that you've just spoken about, sure, we should hear out every single case of sexual harassment and discrimination, especially if we can prove that it's on the basis of race, or we can prove that there is ill intent within a department. Now, that's not what's being articulated by the LAFD. They are saying that they are looking specifically for people of certain races, of particular gender backgrounds, and we should be moving towards a race-neutral future. If you want people to be judged on the content of their character, of their abilities, their intelligence, their strength, which is very important when it comes to the fire department, you should do exactly that. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're a woman. It has nothing to do with your race. And as we saw that assistant fire chief state, she's speaking about diversity, equity, and inclusion through a lens of wanting people who look like her to be in the department, wanting to be able to show up to houses of California residents that apparently look like her so she can serve them better. And she's not really speaking to her capabilities. As she even stated in her own video, she'd be incapable of carrying a man out of a fire. So your articulation of diversity, equity, inclusion is very different from what we're getting. And let's not forget that diversity, equity, and inclusion is based out of critical race theory, which is fundamentally flawed. If we truly want race neutrality and people to be judged based off of their abilities, we should do exactly that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, Marco.
What? Okay, man, it's so much to break. One, it is weird how she just had to like she has like a quota of like list of catchphrases or words that Republicans have to use on a daily basis. Hey, whatever your name is, you have to use the word wokeness 16 times in a video, and you have to use critical race theory at least 3 times minimum. And this is your last video, so you got to hurry up. And she added critical race theory. If you understand what that means, it has nothing to do with DEI. I read you guys the definition of DEI. What does it have to do with critical race theory? Hey, we gonna make it, guys. We gonna make it. Trust me.
Come back to you quick.
So you said three things
hang on,
that weren't
Mark.
true
I'll come back to you for
sorry.
a quick response, and I go to Gillian. But Mark, it's come at the same week that we saw Mark Zuckerberg basically ending all of Meta's DEI programs, along with a complete reversal of everything else you could call woke policy. I mean, it seems to me that the wind is blowing. Well, I won't use that phrase because there's obviously a much bigger, more problematic wind blowing. But there is a change in direction from companies that you would say were very liberal skewed, like Meta and others, to just get rid of all DEI programs because they've concluded, and you may have a view about this, that they actually they are wrong. They promote mediocrity. They're not meritocratic in the way that companies should be, in my view. And it's happening quite fast now since the big Trump win over Kamala Harris, who represented all this woke stuff to her bootstraps. What's your response to that?
Well, I think you're right to say that corporate investment in DEI was always cynical. They never cared about diversity, equity, or inclusion. They did it because it was popular. After the uprisings following the murder of George Floyd, it was popular to say you were down with DEI, so they did it. And a lot of those companies never actually even turned in the money. They never actually followed up on the promises that they made. And now that it's no longer popular, they're pulling back. Corporate America.
Once again, I done said this 1,000,001 times. For example, like Nike, when they sponsored Kaepernick for getting blackballed and kicked out of the NFL for kneeing for criminal justice or police brutality, that means nothing. These companies just do it because it's the trend of what's going on, and they understand that a lot of black and brown people are the main source of their profits. So they're going to do or say whatever they need to, but they never truly implement or act on what it means to implement something like DEI, which is a no-brainer because it's not complicated to understand if you're a decent human being. That's pretty much what it's asking you to be. Stop being racist, stop being a dick, and be a genuine human being. That's pretty much if you want to sum that up. But no, these companies don't care. They just care about their profits. And when Trump came in, Zuckerberg and Elon, well, Elon was already turned, but Jeff Bezos, they're going to flip-flop. And when the Democratic administration gets in, they're going to flip-flop again. Don't trust anything that these institutions or these companies are saying because they're just saying it to save their profits.
America does what's good for business, not what's good for people. But I reject your claim that DEI is not meritocratic or it undermines meritocracy. The data contradicts that. The decades of studies contradict that. I also reject Amala's claim that the fire department was doing something systemic in response to something that was individual. You know, she said they should have adjudicated those cases, but not gone on this big initiative to have different hiring practices. I think maybe what you missed was the complaints themselves were about a systemic failure to hire qualified black people, to hire qualified women. So again, when you talk about DEI, it's not about getting unqualified black and brown and women in a room of qualified white men. It's about saying there's 10 qualified people in this room. The first 6 we've hired have been white men. Maybe the next 4 shouldn't be when demographically there's enough black people here or enough women or whomever.
But hang on.
Oh my God, Pierce, please just hold on, man. Just hold on. One idiot at a time. Like Mark said, and I read you guys the definition, DEI doesn't lower the standards. It doesn't do anything weird with qualifications and no, it's just saying if there's a job and it's systematically proven and people have put in complaints and sued that they are purposely discriminating in hiring or promoting or paying or treating others unfairly, that is a problem. So we need to fix it. And this idiot right here, oh no, yeah, we need to look into the claims. Okay, sure, but how do you fix it? How do you solve it so it doesn't continue to happen again? That is the point. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's you're out there, you break your ankle and then you go get surgery. Okay, you fixed it. But can we make sure that we're not going out there and running in front of cars so we don't continue to have this problem? That simple. You can fix the one case that sued this fire department for discrimination, but how do you prevent that from continuing to happen? Maybe are we intellectually able to do that? No. Pierce, what were you going to say that was so enlightening to input into this conversation? Let's hear it.
But that's exactly the point, which is when it comes to firefighting, actually, no. Sorry, I just want the best people for the job. Sorry, I do. If I'm a homeowner in LA, I don't care what color they are, what sexuality they are, what gender they are.
May I ask you a question about that, Pierce?
Hang on, Mark. I don't care about any of it. I just care, are they the best available people to save me from a fire? End.
Pierce, I swear, we're going to square up one day. Oh, man, we're going to square up. Hey, Mark didn't... No one is saying you have to hire people who are not qualified or can't perform the job functions. I know as a homeowner, you may not care who saves you or saves your house. If they're black, white, gay, straight, you may not care, which of course. But the people who are applying for those jobs and getting denied and statistically proven that they are discriminating against a certain race or gender, they care because they want to be a firefighter. They are qualified. They pass the test. They can do the job, but yet they're being told no. So if you don't care, Pierce, which, okay, you don't, the people who are acquiring these jobs, they care. Is that hard to understand, Pierce? Man, I swear, don't invite me on those shows, man. Man, oh man, you gonna get called out and you're gonna have to mute my mic. You're gonna have to kick me off the show. But you know what? I don't care because someone needs to tell your dumb face what needs to be told. And you're an idiot or you're disingenuous and you're a scummy person. I would say some other things, but I probably get in trouble by YouTube for cyberbullying, which I have before, so I can't do that again, okay? But let's continue.
You're misrepresenting the issue, though. No one is saying that the best qualified people shouldn't be hired. The issue is, again, there are 10 people in a room.
Yeah.
They're going to hire 8 of them. The first 6 they've hired have been white men.
Yeah.
Of the remaining people, there are qualified white men and qualified black men and qualified black women. The issue historically in that department has been, even when the women have been qualified, even when the black men have been qualified, they still have not gotten hired. It's not that black people have gotten not hired and they're unqualified. It's they've been qualified and not hired. And so they're trying to respond to that by being intentional about saying, hey, let's bring in some qualified black people to augment the qualified white men as well. So no one wants an unqualified firefighter. You know what I mean? No one wants an unqualified surgeon. But if you keep not hiring qualified black people, we got to do something about it.
Okay, let me bring Jillian in because...
Oh my God. Okay, let's bring Julian in. No, Pierce, engage with the conversation. Take what he said, comprehend it, okay? Compute it. Think about it. Let it marinate into your brain. And then respond in either I disagree with you or, oh, shoot, okay, because that was totally opposite of what I assumed your argument was, but you clarified it in such a way, in such a like interesting, articulate way to where I now understand it. No, he just skips right past it and goes to Julian, which I think this is Julian right here. He makes some really good, awesome points. But once again, none of these idiots right here, this idiot one, this is somewhat of an idiot, and this big idiot right here don't engage in nothing of what they say. But let's go to the next one because trust me, I'm already at like, a 15 here. So I don't have enough money to go to an emergency room because I'm blowing arteries and kidneys here because I'm so upset. Like, I don't got the money to do that.
In Los Angeles, I think a lot of people love to paint Los Angeles the way that they see it. They love to paint the culture of California in a certain way. I don't feel like I'm living in a DEI city. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel that way. I think that diversity is important to people in Los Angeles. It's one of the most diverse cities in the entire world, and we are proud of that. But that doesn't mean
nothing
that
wrong
we're
with being proud of
voting for people
diversity.
because of the color of their
Listen,
skin.
I'm as proud of diversity as you are, and Mark is, everybody else is. Nothing wrong with being proud of diversity.
I don't think you are.
No, well, actually, I am. But what I believe in,
I disagree.
What I believe in everything.
No, Pierce, no. You don't get to jump on this bandwagon of like, hey, can we all just get along? And I love No, Pierce, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna sit here and play both sides of the fence here. Do not let him get away with that. Your whole entire argument of this hour-long debate, you've been one-sided on purpose. No, once again, you can't put a statistic on vibes. Pierce, you just said when you go to California, because I own about 2-3 houses in California because I got so much money because I speak to idiots and they pay me money because I'm an idiot. Oh, it just feels like so much DEI and blah, blah, blah. And then when someone says, well, I don't get that experience. No, you don't. Like, you can't prove that. That's just your vibes. So if someone else's vibes are different from yours, who are you to say, really? No, that's not proof. Your vibes, your feelings, your intuition isn't proof of something. That's just your perspective, your opinion. Hey, you see, opinions and facts are two totally different things. Okay, we're still good. My blood pressure, my pulse is probably at like a 107 right now, so I think we're still good. Okay, let's continue.
The thing is that meritocracy should trump mediocrity and should trump woke box ticking. That's what I believe. I believe that.
But you're arguing that somehow she didn't have merit.
I'm arguing
she was more qualified than her opponent.
I'm arguing
a black person a black person can do a bad job, and that's fine. Criticize them for doing a bad. Gavin Newsom's doing a bad job, but no one is addressing his race. He just did a bad job. Karen Bass is doing a bad job, you say. Then criticize her for that. But every time a black person does a bad job, if you call them a DEI hire, that becomes nothing more than a dog whistle and a racist slur.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about everybody.
She was hired. She was elected because she was qualified and because the voters wanted her.
But she was elected. But Mark, you're missing my point. You're missing my point. It's not because
I'm not missing your point. I'm disagreeing with your point.
That's fine. And you're perfectly entitled to disagree with it. But don't start talking about dog whistles because it's entirely down to her.
It's a dog whistle.
No, it's entirely down to her incompetence. And I'm telling you, there are lots of...
No, Pierce. Hey, guess what? Just because someone's calling you out doesn't mean you can sit here. No, that's not what that means. You can't say every brown or black individual that you don't like and say that's a DEI hire. But when it comes to someone who's not black or not brown, you don't use that same verbiage for them. That's what he's trying to tell you. Hey, Pierce, stop being an idiot and just listen. You're thinking too much of a response. You're not taking your time to think and comprehend of the words that are being said to you. You can't sit here and every single black person that you don't like, you blame it on DEI as if they're not qualified for the position. But then when it's someone like Gavin Newsom, which you can say he's doing a bad job, no one is saying he's a DEI hire. If you're only using that word for black and brown people, I'm sorry, that is racist. That is racist. Or you have a gross misunderstanding of what DEI means, and you, I'm sorry, don't belong in the conversation. Hey, there's some facts for you.
People in LA, when confronted with a billionaire candidate or her were going to vote for her because of the color of her skin or her gender. I'm telling you, that's what LA's like.
Or because he's a billionaire and we don't.
And I'm going to tell you that all around the country, people vote for Donald Trump and other people because they're white men. Identity politics plays.
And you would be the first to say that's wrong.
The point here is not that.
You would be the first.
That whenever a black person gets criticized, calling them a DEI hire is questioning their competence, not their performance, but their fundamental qualification for the job. She was qualified for the job. She just hasn't done a good job. That's fine, but that doesn't make her a DEI hire. Ben Carson was wholly unqualified to be the head of HUD, right? But no one called him a DEI hire. Why? Because he was on the right. Whether you think he did a good job or bad job, he wasn't qualified. But every time he makes a mistake, I wouldn't call him a DEI hire, even though he had no qualification. He's far less qualified for that job than Karen Bass was to be mayor of LA. You have to understand here that DEI hire is itself a dog whistle when it's weaponized against black and brown people and women and trans folk and queer folk. Whenever you don't like the job they do, it says they're unqualified.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, but you also have to recognize that this relentless woke bullshit has actually turned large numbers of people into people I just don't even recognize as.
Pierce, you have show me the numbers. Show me the statistics of people are only voting for an individual based off their color, based off their gender. I need to see the numbers. Because we can't continue these conversations that are supposed to lead to a solution based off your feelings, based off your vibes. And you're like, it kind of just feels like people know. Because if we keep doing this, well, I feel that you're, and I feel, then we're going to get nowhere. That's why facts mean something. It keeps people on solid ground. So we're not just up in La La Land in fantasy world where you could just make up whatever you want. Because we can easily say people only voted for Donald Trump because they're all racist. And they only voted for him because they didn't want to vote for a woman. You know, and then you would ask me, well, where's the proof of that? I can't just come back and say, well, I mean, that's just kind of the vibes of it, right? No, I don't want to look like an idiot. So I'm going to be like, you know what? I believe my feeling is that they didn't vote for Harris because she's a woman. That's not a fact. That's my opinion. Two different conversations to be had. Yeah, we're going to make it.
Having a brain where they literally buy into all this stuff. They walk around and their first thought is diversity, equity, inclusion should actually be a priority over any meritocracy. They genuinely believe that.
That's not what anyone has ever argued.
At that point, society starts to fragment.
Piers, that's not true. What I'm saying is,
it's true.
DEI initiatives begin from the premise that people who are qualified are being left and locked out of the room.
I know the premise.
When we advocate for people,
I know the premise, Mark.
No, but that's not.
Yeah, but hang on.
I understand
the
you
premise
say
of
you
being
know the
woke.
premise, but what you just did to the.
You're missing the point. The premise
what you just did to the audience was make it seem as if they weren't operating from that assumption.
The premise of being woke, right, was originally that you would raise awareness for social and racial injustice. I agree with that. By that criteria, I'm woke. That is not what woke became. Woke became a form of censorious virtue signaling fascism. And what we're seeing now is the very rapid, actually, disintegration of woke.
Hey, Mark, man. Hey, brother, I am paying for you. I am praying for you. Trust me, I understand. Maybe not to the extent that you do, because you're literally talking to him in real time. And if I was to do that, I would probably die in an instant of the amount of stupidity coming at me in real time. I would probably pass out. I am praying for you. You are a stronger individual than I am, because I cannot take that stupidity in real time. I am sorry, and we are all praying for you.
Wokeism, because people have woken up to it. And what I hope is that people like the people of Los Angeles, who've seen their city getting ravaged by this crap, wake up, smell the cappuccino, and vote according to reality. and not to what they think they should be doing based on things like.
Forget about climate change. Forget about unchecked capitalism.
No. All those things are important.
Because they'll burn your city
Let me bring
down.
in Gillian, who's been shaking her head. Gillian?
Well, here's the reason I think, in particular, people are targeting this issue. There are two quantifiable moments that are pretty outrageous. So the first one is, I believe it was Kristen Larson who said, hey, you're worried about me pulling your husband out of a fire. Well, then he got himself in the wrong place. She should have been swiftly fired for that statement.
Yeah.
Regardless of her.
That I do agree. Anyone who is saying dumb assness stuff like that, get rid of them. Once again, I read to you guys the definition. And if someone is not operating under that definition, then it doesn't mean that definition. Whoever that Carson lady is, whatever they said, that is not DEI. That's their own agenda, their own perspective on doing whatever they want to do. That is not the goal, the end goal of DEI. Once again, it's weird. I got to explain this to grown adults, but I do.
Color or her gender.
Yeah.
That was an outrageous thing to say. I don't care if she was a white man. If a white man said something like, well, your wife got herself into the wrong place, we would all be outraged. She should have been fired. And now we have to ask ourselves why she wasn't fired. And then the next thing is the lady, I think her name is Janice Quinones, who was in charge of making sure that reservoir on the Palisades was full, was caught in an interview saying that her top priority was DEI.
Yeah.
Legitimately verbatim a quote. And I think that is exactly what Piers is talking about. I can't speak to Karen Bass or
It's a
how qualified
mindset.
she was or she wasn't because I'm no longer a California resident, so I didn't vote for her. I didn't do my homework on her. And I do agree that regardless of DEI, she's doing a crap job. And regardless of Republican or Democrat, Newsom sucks. He is the worst, and he has been the worst forever since 2018 when he got the job in 2019 and how he's run the state since then. He sucks. But there are two very
man, am I right?
clear examples of what Piers is speaking about.
Yeah.
Hey, it's kind of weird. If Gavin sucks this much, can we just say he's a DEI hire? I don't know. Like, I guess we'll never know.
Marlo, I want to play a clip of Gavin Newsom, who keeps smirking.
Yeah, and once again, we don't care about the smirking, but once again, guys, hey, thank you for watching. If you watched this far into the video, let me know in the comments. Please say, hey, what's up? I don't watch to the end. I want to give you a personal thank you for watching this and enduring this frustrating conversation with two idiots, 2.5, about 2.25, and bearing through this with me, because understanding how idiots operate in these conversations only better equips us to be able to combat it. And we're not going to convert every single idiot. That is not my goal. My goal is to make sure if someone is listening that is listening to the dumb conversation and they get something out of it, hey, that is a win in my books. But once again, guys, thank you for watching. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord button so me and you can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.